Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, we're back here on SRM Varsity Extra right here on sportsrenaissanceband.com, a subset of the Chase Thomas podcast where we talk all things Tennessee Vols and also Tennessee high school football all across our great state. And we're going to the middle part of the state over there in Murfreesboro, the Pit, as I learned from some diehard Falcon fans a few weeks ago when Lincoln County pushed Sevier County, the defending champs at the time, to the limit. Fresh off an upset win the previous week, the Road Warriors, Eddie Cunningham here, the head football coach. Coach, now that you've had a couple of weeks, I mean, have you had time to reflect? Have you still just been like, I'm not ready to really go down that road just for our season? Where are you at in the off season?
So, it's been, for us, we ended our season, went straight into a week off for Thanksgiving. So, I've told many people I'm kind of glad that we had that week off. I don't know that I've been able to come back to school on Monday, but we took that week. We kind of got away, and then by the time we got back, we did a lot of our inventory and preparing our getting rid. I guess I don't want to say getting rid of our seniors, but cleaning out our locker rooms and doing all the things to kind of get our off season cranked up. And then I've gone back. I've finally kind of gotten to that point to where, I went back and I watched the film a couple of times, and, we assessed the season. That's what we plan to do every off season. We kind of go through game by game and, kind of do a little bit more detailed kind of lists of things we want to clean up, going into the next year, or, kind of get an idea of the players that we have coming back. You do that some during the season, but you really, I know for me, I tend to look forward, to the team you're facing the next week, probably a little quicker. So we use this time to really go back and study our opponent and, and ourselves as well.
So this was a special season. You were, and we'll talk about the fans here who made back-to-back big-time trips here in East Tennessee. And obviously take down Powell, and then you get to Sevier County in back-to-back weeks. You get to the quarterfinals. The biggest reason that your team had such a special season this year is what?
I think, knowing a little bit of the background a couple of years ago, when I took over, we had just come off of a 1-9 season. The program at Lincoln County, kind of a rich tradition in the past, had kind of gone through about a 4 or 5 year down period. And so when I took over, there weren't a lot of people that applied for the job. I took it. We put a staff together. The staff that we put together, we really kind of put our heads in like, hey, what are we going to do to fix this? And we did it. In the first couple of years, it was very slow. We went 2-8 and then right into a 3-7 season. And those losing years, it's kind of lonely around here because nobody really wants to associate with that, Last year, we went 7-3, lost in the first round of the playoffs. And you could tell, like, people started coming back around. They were interested in how we were doing. And then, we had a pretty successful year this year in our terms, finished 8-2 regular season, made it to the quarterfinals. And, to me, I think it's the buy-in that we got from the players a couple of years ago when they first started coming in, and then just the commitment level to, they didn't want to go back to a 2-8 season, whatever else. So they were putting in extra work to get to go back to our host a playoff game. And then when we lose to Sevier a couple of weeks ago, I'm having players call me over Thanksgiving break wanting to open the weight room up, so I think, winning, it makes you hungry. I there was a little fool's gold in there. I beating Powell, I think we played pretty good, but we also had to have a little luck on our side with their quarterback going down a little bit. And, but getting to that point, I think it kind of made it verified to the players that hard work can pay off. If you just kind of stick to the work and the plan and the process and all that stuff. So it made us feel really good that that it shows that it can do its job as long as you're putting the work in.
Did you have a good feeling coming into both just the film prep work ahead of Powell and ahead of Sevier County that you liked the matchup for your team again, even if a lot of folks here in the area didn't have that on their radar, but you and your staff are like, I kind of like this. I like how our guys match up here.
I think there were spots. I'm not going to say on paper, you compare us to Powell or Sevier, we're probably killed in both of those ball games. But there were spots that we felt like we could take advantage of. Versus Powell, our nemesis has always been a running quarterback that can throw. And probably for anybody, at this level. So early on, we were having a lot of problems, containing him. And, and then when he went down, for a good portion of the middle part of the game, we were able to kind of, and we did that offensively without him being on the field. But defensively, I think we got one big stop and we started playing with confidence that hey, we can do this. And then Deuce came back in at one point. We got a big stop then. And I think we just kind of rode that momentum there for a while. And then we had to come up with, we had a huge kick. I think it was like from the 10 or 12 yard line, something like that, to put us up by 10. And we had to have a stop. We got the stop and so that kind of gave us a little confidence going into Sevier. So the week in preparation, again, kind of felt like, as a team as a whole, I didn't know that we competed with them as much, but I felt like there were small spots that we could win. And, so we tried to, I don't remember his name, but we tried to take number 0 out the best that we could.
Oh, Hedrick. Yeah.
Yeah. And, which is a phenomenal player. And, so when we tried to do that, I think for us, it kind of created some areas where it opened up running lanes. And they were able to gash us a couple of times, big with the run game. And then the QB at Sevier, I mean, he's Mr. Football for a reason. I mean, he's a phenomenal athlete, and with up by 10, I think with 6 minutes to go, we've got to make a couple of plays there. And I think our luck ran out. We had a surefire pick, that we dropped. And then we blew a coverage, I think, in the same drive. And then,
but a huge return when you have a chance, like a huge return.
And we had a timeout. We got plus 48, I think. And it just, it just wasn't our night to finish the comeback. So, but I think it left, it started our off season in the right direction. I think everybody felt like, hey, just because they're defending state champions, they're beatable. And then I became one of the bigger Sevier fans, as soon as we lost to them, I wanted to see them go ahead and win it all, so, that's kind of how our season ended.
So you mentioned a lot of different things there that I thought was, especially as I'm just like watching you guys up close, and I was just very fortunate to see you guys up close a couple weeks ago. But like one of the things I thought was super interesting about how your team was built and what you did to really put a lot of pressure on Sevier County's defense. I mean, your quarterback senior, he's moving on. Maddox, he was really good moving around in the pocket. He was really good at navigating the Sevier County pass rush when they were getting in his face. I thought he did a really good job there, making some key down the field throws, like keeping his head up and finding guys down the field. You were able to push it in that way. You also had to do some really fun red zone stuff where you get Trayshawn Jean involved, where he just is kind of like that Swiss Army knife for you guys. That was always really interesting to see how you utilized him in the red zone, in particular in the Wildcat type deal. And then, of course, running the ball, Carson Carter, I was jotting down in my notes where I'm like, what is the carry count up to here? Because he's a warrior, man. Like he's not going to break it for 30 plus yards. It's not kind of the kind of back he is. He's just wearing down Sevier County. Like it's 2 to 3 guys every time to take him down. He's not going down in the first hit. And I just came away so impressed with your different playmakers and how balanced and how different your attack was at Sevier County.
Yeah, Coach Pittenger, our offensive coordinator, he does a great job of taking the athletes that we have and kind of creating different things for each one of them, and they are different athletically. Trayshawn's kind of your home run hitter. Carson is, he's that workhorse that we get behind, we kind of grind out games, and that's what we try to pride ourselves on, all season long, year after year, is we don't care if it takes a 15-play drive. We're just wear you down. And that's one thing I think it was the Powell game, you could kind of see, early in the fourth quarter, guys were kind of leaning over, and you were the effects of kind of the long grind out, drives were taking, they were taking effects on the Powell defense. We see a kid kind of lean over, we're going to try to come right back at him. And, so that's where we've hung our hat the last couple of years. We get Carson Carter back. Trayshawn and Maddox move on. Trayshawn was a 4-year starter for us. He was a huge asset. Maddox has improved. He's a 3-year starter and has improved every year. And he had a good probably 5 or 6 game run there at the end of the season that really kind of it made us two-dimensional. So those two are going to be very hard to replace, which we don't lose, but maybe 5 starters, combined offense and defense. So, but the 5 that we lose, they were big as far as the impacts that they made week to week.
Yeah. And that makes me wonder. So it's one of those things, the great part about having the success is then expectations come, is like you were talking about here at the top, is revitalizing what you walked into. You've built it back up. You beat Powell on the road. You push the defending state champs, who end up getting all the way back and lose in a close one there to Page. But does that like get you more fired up than building a program from scratch? Or is this more of like, man, this is different. I've got expectations now, and we're bringing back a lot of starters, and folks really enjoyed that run we just went on in the playoffs. And it's because you traveled well, and this fan base has been chomping at the bit for this return to a strong playoff contender with the Falcons.
Yeah, I think my first year after coming off of a 1-9 season, that first year there were no expectations. I think it was, make sure the kids work hard, type deal. Which I think it was nice to try to ease. I mean, that was my first year as a head coach, so it made that maybe year a little bit easier for me as well. We could focus on what we felt like was important. But I'm one of those people that I kind of like the fact that there's a little bit more pressure maybe now to get back to that spot. I think, my brain works a little differently than most people, and if I think if there's no expectations, you get bored, and so to me, I like the fact that, hey, we've got a little pressure to get back there. And I think the players kind of feel the same way. I think they loved the fact of, being 4 hours away, maybe a little bit more than that, and turning around and having almost a home game, feel. I mean, our fans, that they do that every week. They travel weekly like that. So, it's a testament to, this is a small town. They love their football here. It's been like that since 1979. And and they get behind every sport, not just football. I mean, it's basketball, baseball, softball. They love their sports. They travel with them, and home games are even better. So hopefully next year we can win the region and we're all at home.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I would rather have to follow a winning season, and the pressure of that than come off a 1-9. That's not what you're shooting for. So
Yeah, that's fair. Who are the biggest guys that you thought maybe we were talking about, obviously, with Gene and Maddox and company, just the kind of those skill position guys, but who, when you're watching the tape back during this postseason run, or even just the season as a whole, who are some tape heroes that you're like, man, a lot of our fans didn't see it because it's just not going to come up on the box score, but man, they really, really helped get us to where we ultimately got this season.
probably the biggest is Broden England. He was a
Mm.
senior defensive end. He's a 3-year starter for us, but you're not going to look and see 2 or 3 sacks a game or 10 tackles or anything like that. But he's the guy that if you tell him something, or if he, hey, look for this, et cetera, like he was kind of a middle linebacker at defensive end. He
Mm.
was calls and different things. And he, I guess it was week 10, he broke his pinky and ring finger on his right hand. So really playing with a partial hand there.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that kind of a silent leader.
Mm.
His part will be important and hard to replace. And then you had Eli Shetler was another senior that going into the year we really didn't expect to start.
Mm.
I think we expected him to kind of be a fill-in guy, and we had an injury. He started the first game and then just kind of slowly maintained his position throughout the year. And at the end of the year, you're looking and you're like, man, this is a first-team region guy. So
Mm.
I think those two are huge. Those are seniors. You've got some others that, juniors that will be really good. Our line, going into this season, we had lost all 5 of our starting O-linemen.
Mm.
I think everybody was very skeptical of how they would play. And I think they got better week to week. There's still some improvement there. That's going to be high school football, but there were some missed blocks in the last couple series there against Sevier that would have really helped propel some, maybe extra yardage or, maintaining the ball a little bit and keeping it out of Sevier's hand. But overall for the season, I think they did a great job. Carter Mays, our free safety, next year he'll be a 3-year starter. Quietly just, ended up with 50 something tackles and I think 4 picks. A couple of those picks were huge throughout the year that maybe stopped game winning drives or different things like that. So, we've got several key pieces that are returning, and something to kind of hang your hat on as you're moving into the off season, to look forward to.
Well, Coach, how did the good folks here in Middle Tennessee support everything Lincoln County football going into this holiday season?
How do they support us?
Yeah, how did the fans? Yeah, how do all the Lincoln County fans tuning in here? How do they support your program here this month?
We've had a couple of things where I think coming up at one of our basketball games, they're gonna introduce the football team. We've been asked to go and I guess ride in a Christmas parade around here, stuff like that. We do a like an angel tree deal where all of our players, get somebody and try to help sponsor that. And we've tried to push that to the community. And we've had, last couple of years, maybe not so much support. This year, it's been overwhelming. So I think it's, again, that's winning helps. But I also think that you're starting to see a lot of people kind of talk on Facebook, et cetera, and that word is kind of spreading. And so different things like that we do throughout the next couple of weeks. And, we'll start our off season and we'll be, all of our kids, they go and they support all of their friends, play other sports. So they're constantly getting asked how the off season's going, et cetera. So it kind of keeps a fresh perspective on it throughout the, I guess the long off season. Sometimes that off season feels like forever, but
it'll be here before you know it. August will be here before you know it.
It'll be August, and and we're putting the pads back on. So
I love it. Well, Eddie, congratulations on a great season. Ultimately, didn't get the championship is obviously but I'm not a championship guy. It's not a championship or bust per se. Like I think y'all played incredible this season. I love seeing what you're building at Lincoln County, and love seeing what you were able to do against Sevier County up close this few weeks ago. And it's an impressive job to this point, and I'm really excited to see what you do here this offseason to get ready to build off those expectations. So we'll have to check back in later on this offseason and see where things are at.
I look forward to hearing from you, and I really do appreciate you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eddie.
Sure, thank you.
All right, we are good.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.